In a small, forgotten corner of a busy city, there was a dog named Max. His coat was once a glossy brown and white, but now it was matted and grimy, stained with dirt from the days he'd spent wandering the streets. His ribs showed beneath his fur, and his eyes were sad, haunted by memories of a life he couldn't quite remember. Max had been abandoned, left to fend for himself after his previous owner decided he was no longer useful. Max's story began not in a place of love, but in a place of neglect. He had been a lively puppy once, playful and full of energy, but over time, he became too much for the family that had adopted him. They had grown tired of his constant need for attention, his desire to be loved. They kept him outside, tied to a post, where his world became smaller each day, and the days blurred together in loneliness. Eventually, they stopped feeding him regularly, and when they realized they no longer wanted him, they simply opened the back gate, and Max ran out. The streets were harsh for a dog like Max, who had never learned to fend for himself. He struggled to find food, dodged traffic, and had to stay on high alert all the time. But the worst part was the cruelty he faced from people. He was kicked, shouted at, and ignored by most of the city's residents. Some would toss things at him, as if he were nothing more than a nuisance. A few people even called animal control, but by the time anyone came to help, Max had disappeared into the maze of alleys and streets. Max's fur grew thick, tangled, and unkempt, and his once bright eyes began to lose their spark. He learned to hide when humans passed by, too afraid of being hurt again. But there was still a glimmer of hope left in him. He still wanted to trust, to feel love again, though he didn't know where it might come from. Then one cold afternoon, something changed. As Max sat huddled in a cardboard box, seeking warmth, a kind woman named Lily walked by. She was different from the others, her eyes were soft, not hard or indifferent. She noticed Max immediately. At first, he recoiled, unsure of her intentions. But Lily didn't try to chase him or shout at him. She simply crouched down, gently extending a hand. She spoke to him in a soft, soothing voice, coaxing him to come closer. Max watched her carefully. She didn't move too fast, didn't make any sudden gestures. Her hand remained open and still. It wasn't the kind of hand that would hit him, like so many others before. It was a hand that offered something he hadn't seen in a long time: kindness. Max's curiosity got the better of him. Slowly, cautiously, he inched forward. The moment he reached her, she gently ran her fingers through his matted fur, not minding the dirt or the tangles. She smelled of lavender and warmth. Lily didn't pull away when Max flinched, as he was used to when humans touched him. Instead, she kept her hand steady, giving him time to adjust to the comfort of her presence. "Hey there, buddy," Lily murmured. "You're safe now. Let's get you out of here." Lily wasn't just any person. She was an animal rescuer, someone who had dedicated her life to saving animals in need, and she saw something in Max, a spark of potential that others might have overlooked. She knew he wasn't just any stray dog. He was special, but rescuing him wasn't going to be easy. Max had been through so much, and trust didn't come quickly. For the first few days, he was too afraid to come near Lily's home. She'd set up a small bed and food just outside her door, hoping he'd return. Every night, she'd sit outside, talking to him in a calm, comforting voice, telling him that he wasn't alone anymore. Over time, Max started to trust her. He came closer to the door, his nose twitching as he smelled the food she left. He slowly began to eat in her presence, watching her from the shadows, never daring to get too close. But that was okay. Lily knew it would take time. One night, when the rain came pouring down, Max finally ventured into Lily's house, seeking shelter. Lily was ready for him. She had prepared a warm blanket and a cozy bed by the fire, where he could dry off. She spoke softly as she helped him settle in, and for the first time in months, Max didn't feel the icy chill of abandonment. He was safe. But this wasn't the end of Max's story. It was just the beginning. In the coming weeks, Lily brought Max to a vet to treat the malnourishment and injuries he had suffered from his time on the streets. The vet confirmed what Lily had feared: Max had been severely abused. He was healing physically, but emotionally, he still carried the scars of his past. He flinched at sudden movements, recoiled from loud noises, and didn't know how to interact with other dogs. But Lily believed in second chances. She believed that with the right guidance, Max could become more than just a survivor. He could become something special, something that would not only change his life but the lives of others as well. She knew it wasn't going to be easy, but she had faith in him. As Max began to heal, Lily started to see glimpses of his true personality, a sweet, gentle dog who wanted to love and be loved. But his journey wasn't over. There was still a long road ahead of him before he could trust again. However, Lily had a plan, one that would lead Max toward his greatest transformation. Little did Max know, his life was about to change forever. He wasn't just going to be a rescue dog, he was going to become a therapy animal. And as Max lay in his bed by the fire, slowly drifting to sleep, he had no idea that his second chance was the first step in a beautiful new chapter. As the weeks passed, Max grew stronger, both physically and emotionally, but his journey toward recovery wasn't linear. Some days were full of progress, while others felt like setbacks. The smallest of triggers, an unexpected noise, a sudden movement, would cause Max to tremble in fear, his tail tucking between his legs. Lily understood that patience was key. She never pushed him too hard and always respected his boundaries. She took her time to introduce him to new things slowly, ensuring he felt safe. At first, they worked on simple tasks, like getting Max used to walking on a leash. He had never been on one before, and it was a struggle at first. Max would pull back, trying to retreat to the safety of his crate whenever Lily attached the leash. She would simply sit with him, letting him take the lead, showing him that there was no reason to be afraid. Gradually, Max began to understand that the leash wasn't a source of harm but a way to explore the world safely. He loved the walks around the park. The fresh air, the sounds of birds chirping, the soft rustling of leaves. He was starting to feel like a dog again, and it made Lily smile every time he wagged his tail just a little bit faster as they walked together. But the real breakthrough came when Lily introduced Max to another dog, a friendly golden retriever named Charlie, who had a history of being a therapy animal himself. Max's first interaction with Charlie was cautious. He sniffed the ground, took tentative steps toward him, and then froze when Charlie came too close. But Charlie didn't mind. He simply sat down and looked at Max with calm, steady eyes, as if to say, "I'm not here to hurt you." Max, sensing no threat, took a few more steps forward. He sniffed Charlie's face, then, as if a switch had been flipped, relaxed. He even wagged his tail in a slow, uncertain manner. It was a big moment for him. He was learning to trust again. Over the next few months, Max and Charlie became inseparable. Charlie helped Max gain confidence. They played together, rolled in the grass, and took naps in the sun. Charlie's gentle nature and calm demeanor taught Max that not all dogs, and not all people, were dangerous. Slowly, Max's social fears began to fade. He learned how to interact with other animals, and while he was still wary of new people, he began to trust those he knew. Lily, seeing Max's transformation, began to dream about a new purpose for him. She had long worked as a volunteer at a local children's hospital, bringing comfort to patients with therapy animals. She had seen firsthand the incredible impact that animals could have on healing, on lifting spirits, and on providing emotional support to those who were suffering. And Lily knew that Max, despite his rough beginnings, had the potential to do the same. She started researching therapy dog programs and found one that was focused on helping children with chronic illnesses, disabilities, and trauma. The training was intensive, but Lily knew Max was up for the challenge. She had already seen his growing resilience. He had come so far, from a fearful, abused stray to a dog who was beginning to trust the world again. If anyone could succeed in becoming a therapy dog, it was Max. Max's training for the program wasn't easy. It involved mastering commands, learning to remain calm in high-stress environments, and, most importantly, getting used to the presence of children, some of whom would be frightened by his large, imposing frame. At first, the noise and chaos of the hospital environment unsettled him. The beeping machines, the hustle and bustle of doctors and nurses, the shuffling of patients in wheelchairs, everything was overwhelming. But Lily was there, always by his side, providing gentle encouragement. And Charlie, too, was with him every step of the way, helping Max navigate the new environment and reinforcing the skills they had learned together. It was during one of their first official training sessions at the hospital that something remarkable happened. Max, with his ears perked and his tail stiff, was standing near a child in a wheelchair, a young girl named Emma. She had been in the hospital for months, battling leukemia, and her eyes were filled with sadness. Emma's small hands clutched the sides of her blanket, her head down, avoiding eye contact with anyone. Lily noticed Emma's sadness, but she didn't rush in. She allowed Max to approach at his own pace. He sniffed the air, taking in the new surroundings, then looked at Emma, sensing the deep loneliness in her. Max took a few tentative steps forward, his head low, his body language hesitant but curious. Emma looked up slowly, and for a moment, their eyes met. Max's gaze was soft, understanding, not demanding anything. He wasn't asking for affection or attention, he was simply there, being present. And in that moment, something shifted. Emma's lips trembled slightly, then parted as she whispered, "Are you real?" Max's tail gave a cautious wag, and Emma, still uncertain, slowly reached out. Her small fingers brushed against his fur. It was a simple touch, but it was the start of something powerful. Max, with his quiet presence, brought comfort to Emma in a way that no words could. Lily watched as Emma's face softened, the sorrow in her eyes beginning to lift. Max lay down beside her, resting his head on her lap, and for the first time in a long time, Emma smiled, a small, fragile smile, but a smile nonetheless. That was the moment Lily knew that Max had found his true calling. This dog, who had once been abandoned, forgotten, and abused, was now offering something more precious than anyone could have imagined: the gift of love, compassion, and healing. It wasn't just about Max's training anymore, it was about the impact he had on others. His journey had come full circle. From being a dog who had learned to trust, to a dog who could now bring comfort to others, Max was ready to become a true therapy dog. And with Lily's guidance, he would continue to bring healing to those who needed it most, children who had been through more than anyone should ever have to endure. Max's life as a therapy dog quickly gained momentum. After his first successful visit with Emma, word spread among the hospital staff about the special bond he had formed with the young girl. Nurses and doctors, who had seen many children come and go, were amazed at the way Max seemed to understand their patients in a way no human could. He brought a calm presence to the sterile, often intimidating hospital environment. His gentleness, his ability to sense pain and fear, and his quiet, steady demeanor made him a healing force. Soon, Max was visiting more children, some with illnesses, some recovering from surgeries, and others with disabilities that made them feel isolated and vulnerable. Each visit was different, but every time, Max seemed to know exactly how to comfort them. One child, Sarah, had been in the hospital for months, recovering from a traumatic car accident that had left her with broken bones and a broken spirit. Her parents tried their best, but no matter how much love and care they gave, Sarah remained withdrawn. She refused to speak, and the other children seemed too scared to approach her. Sarah's world had become a place of fear and pain, one where nothing seemed familiar or safe anymore. When Max arrived, Sarah was lying in bed, her face pale and her eyes blank. She watched as Lily brought Max into the room. At first, she didn't react. But when Max approached her bed, he didn't rush. He sat down by her side, his body language gentle, his eyes soft. He didn't force her to acknowledge him, he simply sat there, letting her take the lead. After a few moments, Sarah's eyes slowly moved toward Max. She was curious, but still hesitant. Max's tail wagged slowly, and he gave a small, quiet whine, almost as if to say, "It's okay. You're safe with me." Lily, who had become very skilled at understanding Max's subtle cues, stayed in the background, allowing Sarah to interact with him at her own pace. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah slowly reached out her hand. Max, sensing her uncertainty, didn't move too quickly. He gently placed his head in her lap, offering her his comfort without expectation. For the first time in weeks, Sarah smiled. It was a small, hesitant smile, but it was the first step back toward the world she had once known. As she stroked Max's soft fur, her breathing began to steady. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel the warmth of his presence, and for the first time since the accident, Sarah let go of her fear. Max didn't just bring joy to the children he met. He also helped ease the burden on their families. Parents who had been worn thin by the constant worry and stress of their child's illness would often find themselves taking a deep breath and relaxing when Max entered the room. His calming energy was infectious, spreading peace to everyone around him. But it wasn't always easy. There were still days when Max's past would catch up with him. Some of the children he visited were frightened of him at first. Max's large frame and deep, soulful eyes could be intimidating, especially to those who had never been around dogs before. And there were times when the environment in the hospital would overwhelm him. The loud beeping of machines, the sudden rush of doctors, and the sometimes chaotic nature of the wards could make him anxious. Lily noticed when Max seemed uneasy. She was always quick to adjust, either leading him to a quieter area or allowing him to take a break when needed. She never pushed him too hard. Max had come so far, and Lily had learned to trust his instincts. If he ever felt overwhelmed, they would take a step back, regroup, and try again the next day. One particular visit stands out in Lily's mind. It was to a room where a young boy named Lucas, about 8 years old, had been recovering from a bone marrow transplant. His immune system was fragile, and the doctors were doing everything they could to make sure he stayed healthy. But Lucas was tired, frustrated with the long hospital stay, and lonely. He rarely smiled, and his family had become worried that he might not be able to stay positive enough to fight his illness. When Max walked into the room, Lucas barely lifted his head. He had seen many visitors before, but none had truly broken through. But then, something happened. Max approached the bed and sat down, just like he had done with the other children. He looked at Lucas for a long moment, his eyes kind and understanding. Then, as if sensing Lucas's need for comfort, Max gently placed his paw on the edge of the bed and laid his head down beside him. At first, Lucas didn't move. But then, after a few moments, he reached out with trembling fingers. He touched Max's paw, and then, for the first time in weeks, Lucas let out a soft laugh. It was quiet at first, but it grew. It was a sound of joy, a sound of relief. Max had broken through the wall Lucas had built around himself. Lily watched in awe as Max and Lucas shared a moment of pure connection. There were no words needed. Max was doing what he was born to do, healing through the simple act of being present. As the weeks passed, Max's visits became a regular part of the children's recovery process. He wasn't just a therapy dog anymore, he was a symbol of hope. His transformation from a frightened, abused stray to a comforting, loyal companion was nothing short of miraculous. Max had gone from being a dog who had nothing to offer the world to a dog who changed lives. And then, one day, it happened. The hospital staff invited Lily and Max to a special ceremony to honor the animals who had helped their patients. It was a day of celebration, where children and their families could come together to thank the therapy animals for the healing they had brought. When Max entered the room, a group of children cheered. Some of them waved signs with Max's name on them. Others rushed forward to pet him, their faces beaming with smiles. Max walked slowly, taking in the love, the energy, and the joy that filled the room. He didn't seem overwhelmed. He seemed content, proud even, as if he knew that this moment, this new chapter in his life, was exactly where he was meant to be. Lily stood beside him, her heart swelling with pride. She had watched him grow, from a dog who couldn't trust anyone to a dog who had become a hero. And as Max accepted the applause and love from the children, she realized something incredible. Max's journey had come full circle. He had given the world a second chance, and in return, the world had given him a purpose, one that would continue to change lives for years to come. Max was no longer just a stray. He was a therapy dog, a symbol of hope, and a reminder that even the most broken souls could heal, with a little love, a little patience, and a whole lot of heart.